Hello friends, it's Nancy from Astrology and Angel Mediums today with another deck review. I'm not sure if I ever have done a deck review for this deck, even though I've had it for many years and actually have used it quite a lot in almost any and all of the readings that I've done over the last several years. So today I'm going to be talking about the Queen of the Moon Oracle by Stacey DeMarco. And this was from Rockpool Publishing. I think it's from a couple of years ago. It's essentially a deck to help you connect with the different moon phases. It is very much feminine leaning, so if that is something that you're not really looking for, that's something to kind of keep in mind. It is an older deck, so you should probably be able to find it even in like some resale groups and things like that. But this has become one of my favorite kind of moon decks, so to speak. So just typical kind of mass-produced box, nice quality, holds up over time. Nothing inside of the deck box, and the cards are not gilded. That is the one thing that I think if I were to redo this, or like if I could, I would like probably do some edging, but that's just me. I just think it would add a beautiful kind of element to the cards. So as you can see, they are a shiny finish, which may not be everyone's favorite. I know we're leaning more towards matte boxes and matte finishes for things, and this is almost like an eggshell kind of finish, not the satin. So I'm going to talk about the actual guidebook first. And so it is pretty thorough. There is 108 pages, I believe, in this guidebook, and it talks about the author and the illustrator. So it's essentially just meant guidance through lunar and seasonal energies. So if you are a lunar or seasonal witch, or one that follows the year of the wheel, I think it's good to have something like this to kind of connect to. And it has a little bit of all of the different moon cycles and her kind of talking about why she decided to move with this deck. I do love a lot of Stacey DeMarco decks. I do have her Halloween Oracle. I do have quite a few of her older decks, like the Goddesses, and it's like Goddesses and Sirens, I believe it's what it's called. And then I have the Gods and Titans one, which they're illustrated by Jimmy Manton, which I really love his art style. So I tend to kind of buy his decks whenever I see his art style kind of done. But this is a different illustrator on this, and you'll see that artwork is a little bit different. The guidebook has full color in it with a actual like picture of each of the cards. And I do really appreciate the messages that kind of come with the cards in this deck. So if you're someone that's into moon phases, moon cycles, things of that nature, this is a really nice deck to utilize. There's also, I've seen quite a few sort of moon decks out on the market, but I really just tend to kind of gravitate back towards using this one a lot of the time. I love the artwork. It's a blend of like collage and then also like other things where some cards are really intricate, some are a little bit simpler, but they just really allow me to connect to the messages in such an easy way. So I think this is why I constantly go back and reach for this deck. It's very easy to read with, even if you're not wanting to use the guidebook. It's still nice because the imagery used with each of the cards has so much symbolism. There's the numerology you can add into. If you follow moon phases, you can talk about that. So there is just this beautiful kind of element that comes from the imagery from the cards. And so it is one of the decks that I tend to reach for the most. So I'm just going to kind of show you guys some of the artwork here a little bit bigger, so you guys can kind of see. There's beautiful colors. There's just a very kind of soothing celestial kind of element, as there's a bunch of like stars in the background. There's the moon on all of the cards, which is nice. And while I typically wouldn't have gone for a deck that has a lot of people on it, I just really love the way that they've created the imagery and then also the meanings of the cards. So like for this being like a boundaries card, it's beautiful. There's the bubble, there's, you know, it's very nice to kind of see things done in a different way. And then this action card is gorgeous as well. There's just some really interesting choices that were made for the different, cards and the meanings for the cards. So here we have the Egg Moon Trust. And then we have Discernment, which I love, the clouds over her eyes. Or Patience. So I'm like, how would one describe patience? But then there's this kind of simplicity to this. Resilience. So I feel like this deck tends to read very well, very easily for me whenever I have a client or whenever I'm just kind of using it for like a 3-card pool, or even just for like readings I've done here on YouTube. I think it's great to have a oracle deck that you can connect to that feels seamless with the rest of the cards that you're using. Now, I'm more of like a magpie, I guess, because I like to kind of blend all of my decks together and kind of use different decks and kind of layer my readings like that. I know that isn't for everybody. Some people like to just use one deck and kind of go off of that, but this has a lot of different things that it mentions, that it talks about, that it brings into the deck. So I think it's very nice if you are someone that is looking for more of that kind of energy of a multi-purpose sort of deck. I think it's good. And if you aren't into the moon, that's fine. It still works. So we have, just different images and different cards that you can kind of tune into. So because there's so many different themes that this deck touches on, I think that it's a wonderful multi-purpose deck for those that are looking for something that kind of covers a bunch of different areas while also allowing you to feel like you can lean into the messages and the imagery or the symbolism a little bit more and kind of open up your own personal intuitive messages. So I think it's a beautiful deck to add to your readings if this is something that you're looking for or have been looking at different moon decks but just haven't really found something that resonates with you. Now, because I did get this from Rockpool directly, which is in Australia, I think Rockpool Publishing is their publishing houses in Australia. The spelling is going to be a little bit different, as you may notice, on some of the words, but it's not something that bothers me, and that is totally fine with me. And I've always thought this Fear card was very beautiful. And then that's it. So I think that this is 44 cards, I believe. Yeah, 44 cards in this deck. It helps you understand the full moon cycles with different lunar imagery. And I feel like a lot of it just really allows you to kind of connect to each of the messages on an individual level. But they also do read very well if you just try to do a spread. So the guidebook does have some recommendations for some different spreads. Sorry if you can hear my dog drinking. She's going to be up and about now. I'm trying to see. I think there was some different. So there's like a tradition 7-card spread. There's a full lunar cycle spread if you want to do something very, very long like that. And then there's just a seasonal spread. So we can just kind of see how this goes for a seasonal spread since we are about to transition out of fall or transition into fall, out of summer into the next season. So let's see. So we have darkness, wisdom, and finally some peace. So even if it's not a deck that most people would say, oh, this is great for doing like a really large spread, I still think that the messages still work cohesively, that it really does allow you to still do a pretty full reading, even with just the 44 cards. Now, if you start adding in decks like I like to do, I think that it adds another layer as well. So let me know what you guys think of this deck and why you would want to reach for this. As I said, as this is a deck review for me, I like the cardstock. While it's not the thickest, it has held up its shape over the years. It is one that I've used for years and years and years. I haven't had any issues with the cards kind of coming apart. I love the information in the guidebook, even though I don't really typically use it when I'm doing a reading. And I do love the imagery. I feel that even though this is a slightly older deck, the imagery is still present and easy for anyone to kind of connect to. So let me know what you guys think. As always, please have a good one. Take care, take it easy, and make good choices. Bye.